Obviously, you know who I am. I'm Angel Ramirez-Jordan, Rashida Strober. Um, a lot of y'all might know who Rashida is based on she had done a video and wrote, I believe, a status in regards to Kendrick Lamar being pro-black and being an advocate for dark-skinned black females. And when it came to light that Kendrick Lamar was in a relationship with a light-skinned black female, or getting engaged to a light-skinned black female that, you know, that he had been with for 10 years, and she had aired her views, and, you know, that she was kind of, I guess, with the words, like, kind of like disappointed or, let down a little based on what you thought his views were.
Right.
People have brought it to my attention. A lot of people tagged me in the posts, and I wrote a status about it, and I aired my views. And for me, the problem that I found was that I felt that there was no reason for him to lose his pro-black card, so to speak, or, that he was no longer Afrocentric or that he was a fraud, because when it was all said and done, apart from the fact that he was in a relationship with this woman for over 10 years, so she was the love of his life, who supported him, regardless of shade, she was still a black woman. She's a light-skinned black woman. So I basically said under the premise that when it's all said and done, isn't the thing that matters the most the fact that she's a sister? Had he turned around and presented this white, blonde, Caucasian woman, I would have understood, and I would have probably been right there with you, liking your post and sharing it and saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, he's a bit of a sellout. I probably would have said that. But I just never understood how it was a problem, because to me, she was black. Her mother is biracial. Her father is black. They're both light-skinned. And I just thought, like, well, she's black. She's the sister. That's what counts. And to me, that brought up the whole light-skin versus dark-skin, thing, the light-skin versus dark-skin issue, which is like the whole colorism and the shade. So, after I wrote my post, I decided to sort of, do a little bit more research about you and about who you are. And it came to me, the understanding that I got of the type of woman that you are is that you're a dark-skinned activist, okay? So
Right.
someone said to me once, ago, how do you compare Angel to that? And I said, well, I'm pro-black, so the spectrum, I'm light-skinned, so, but I am pro-black. Whereas yourself, correct me if I'm wrong, you're an activist for dark skin. Now, obviously, you and I have had multiple conversations, personal conversations and business conversations. So we've got quite a good feel of each other and who we are. And I think we have quite an understanding. And even though I might not agree wholeheartedly with your views, there are parts of your views that I totally understand and totally, sympathize with.
Right.
Do you want to explain sort of like the whole Kendrick Lamar situation, and then we can sort of like go from there?
Right. Sure. The first of all, the Kendrick Lamar situation is something that I really didn't see coming, and it's the whole dark skin issue or activism is not about Kendrick Lamar, because I've been making rants or posts or commentary, whatever you want to call it, about black men, primarily entertainers, who I feel have abandoned or discriminated against dark-skinned women. I've been doing it for so long. For whatever reason, I don't know why, maybe it was a divine intervention, this post went viral.
Okay.
And the history of the post is I counsel dark-skinned women. People
Okay.
think that's outrageous, but I know it's not, because they message me all the time. I counsel dark-skinned women on issues that they have with their dark skin and living in society. And so this one young lady who I've been counseling, she sent me a message and she said, did you see Kendrick Lamar's fiance? And I was like, no, I don't follow Kendrick Lamar because I don't listen to his music, because I'm from the 90s era. So he's not,
Right.
his music doesn't really interest me. So she was like, yeah, girl, da 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 da, and this, that, and the third. And so she said, go look it up. And so I did. And as soon as I looked it up, I said what I said, because I just say what's on my mind. Like, I don't have a problem speaking truth. So that whole thing, that's where the whole Kendrick Lamar situation stemmed from, with her contacting me. And then I went to go look it up. And of course, I was going to give my unadulterated commentary.
Okay.
In terms of when we talk about black men and the type of women they date, we have a consistent pattern of dark skin female discrimination. And that is the root cause of that. And you talk about the fact that she's biracial. And this is, see, a lot of people misconstrue what I say as hate. It's not. I'm just dealing with facts. I don't subscribe to the one drop rule.
Right.
I don't believe that a person that has a white parent and a black parent are black.
Bearing in mind, she doesn't have a white parent. Both her parents are black.
Right.
One of her parents is biracial. The other one is black.
Right. But even if you delve into that whole situation of having biracial parents, that's loaded. So it's like, it's a question of, there's many questions here that come to the surface, but it's a question of who are we accepting as black? But I digress. Just to deal with the issue of dark-skinned female discrimination. Black men have been discriminating against dark-skinned women for the longest. And it's like the big elephant in the room. And so for me to talk about it, and for people, black people are upset because it's like airing the dirty laundry. And, you know, I'm not going to say it in a way that people want me to say. I'm going to say it how I feel, whatever I feel at that present moment. And at that present moment, when I looked at that picture and I saw him and his fiance, I thought to myself, here we go again. Here's a man that is speaking
Keep talking.
about...
My battery's going to die. Keep talking.
Sure.
Keep talking.
Here's a man that's speaking about colorism issues and, you know, using that platform of liking or appreciating dark-skinned women by speaking about him in his songs, by putting them in his videos. And so it's reasonable for me as a dark-skinned woman to expect that, you know, perhaps your mate will be dark-skinned because he's presenting this to the world. But a lot of times what I've learned is a lot of these black entertainers, they know how to get black women in. They know how to reel us in by talking about issues that we're concerned about. But then when you look behind the scenes, they on some other stuff. And I feel like his behavior is fraudulent. Actually, it's funny because one person came to me and they said, in my book, I'm editing my book right now. They said, you need to write an essay on the whole Kendrick Lamar situation. And that's one of the things I'm working on right now. In terms of the black or the berry. Okay. I really had a problem with that. Because the black or the berry, first of all, people just use the phrase the black or the berry all the time loosely. But that book came from, or that phrase came from a book written in 1929 about a dark-skinned woman who was discriminated against by black people for being dark-skinned. Mm-hmm. And so for him, I mean, it's the insults to injuries just keep adding up with this man. And so for him you're naming your songs or your album after the title of a book that's about a dark-skinned woman.
Do you think, I just want to, all right, for me, I wanted to sort of like put myself in the picture for a moment, okay?
Right.
So, you know, we talked about the one drop rule, we talked about biracial parents or whatever. Now, obviously, you and I, you know, we know a little about each other. I know your husband is a dark-skinned Jamaican guy. You know, my father is a brown-skinned Jamaican guy, and my mother is a light-skinned Puerto Rican woman. I classify myself and identify myself as black, but I identify myself as a mixed black guy, as most people would, being one parent Jamaican, one parent Puerto Rican. Now, you see my videos, you know what I'm about, you know what I represent, so we probably wouldn't even be friends or, you know, converse on the level that we would had it not been for the type of videos that I also do, so you know what you're getting. Now, I made a video once, and in the video I specifically stated that, you know, I was talking about why black women don't want us, and when I said us, I meant black men of the African diaspora, whether those men are mixed, dark skin, light skin, brown skin, because it's all the same thing really in the grand scheme of things. And I also made a statement that people always ask me, Angel, why are you attracted to dark skinned women? And I said, you know what, I have a big thing for dark skinned women. I love dark skinned women. I think dark skinned women are very beautiful, and it's my preference. I stated that. I said it's my preference, okay? Now, when that video wasn't about just dark-skinned black women, it was about black women of all shades, whether you're beige, mixed, light, brown, dark, or Afro-Latina. You know, it was the whole spectrum of what we are. Now, after the whole Kendrick Lamar situation with that video that you put out there, I felt like a lot of women respect me, and a lot of women, you know, they hold me in high esteem in terms of the kind of like the pedestal that I put black women on. But I put black women on this pedestal for for more than just physical aspect, more than just looks. And
Right.
it's not just a shade thing. It's not a shade. So I thought to myself, what if one day me, who I have a preference for dark-skinned women, but I've dated light-skinned, brown-skinned, mixed, Latinas, it's all, but they've always been of the African diaspora. So
Right.
what if one day me, and I would assume you respect me from the conversations that we've had and you respect my movement. What if
Right.
one day the woman underneath my arm is light-skinned? Do I automatically lose my pro-black card? Will I have become a hypocrite because I said I have a preference for dark-skinned women?
Right. And this is no disrespect to you, but I would have to answer yes to that.
You'd say
Because
yes.
yes,
Okay.
I would have to answer yes to that. I'm being brutally
Okay.
honest here.
So let's
Because
no, that's fine. That's fine. That's the answer I wanted. Okay. Now that's
right.
fine, and I respect your honesty. Okay, but look at me. I'm light skinned. Would I not be a hypocrite? Now, for example, okay, now I love black women. I love black women of all shades. Okay, my father is a black man. He's brown
Right.
skinned. Okay, he's lighter than yourself. People see my father dreads, everything, all of that. My mother is a light
Right.
skinned Afro Latina. Taino, and African blood. So
Hmm.
wouldn't that be hypocritical for me to say, oh, I'll never date a light-skinned black woman, even though I'm a light-skinned black man? Okay? Now, I'm not saying that I'll never date a light-skinned black woman, because I have. I've had exes who were my color, lighter in complexion, and darker, and much darker than yourself. So, it's like, I feel that would be hypocritical of me. But here's the thing now. Now, if you, as a dark-skinned woman, again, I know your husband's dark skinned, but which hypothetical situation here? If you were in a relationship with myself, no one would take away your dark skin card or your pro black card. They wouldn't see that as a problem at all.
Right.
No, and you agree
Right.
with that, right? You would
Well,
essentially still be with a brother. They would say, well, they wouldn't even focus on you. And I know they wouldn't focus on you. You'd be a black woman, okay, with essentially a mixed black man. And what they would focus on would be, at least he's with a sister, right? That's what because we see it happen all the
right.
time in the media. And I understand where you come from with your thought process. But I feel that, like, why would I lose, this pro-black card that's been thrown around because I dated somebody my mix or my complexion or maybe not dark-skinned? Now, I specifically said in my video, my preference is dark-skinned. I love black women, period. My Puerto Rican women, my Dominicans, my Jamaicans, my Bajans, my African Americans, my Congolese, my Ghanaian, my Nigerian, my Ivorian women. It doesn't matter. If you're
Right.
black, it's more the essence, your soul, what you're about, right? And
Right.
also on a physicality level. If you turned around and saw me with a white woman and I said, yeah, this is my wife, I'd understand you saying, this brother's a sellout. All of that talk, down the drain for nothing. I did that on April Fools. On April Fools, I posted a picture with a work colleague who happens to be white as a joke. Firstly, nobody believed it. Nobody believed it. It had like 300 likes on it. So many comments said, no, it's April 1st. We don't believe it. But why would I lose that? The thing that I want to understand is, for me, going on to where we said the top we'd go to, and I think this connects perfectly to light skin versus dark skin. My movement is unity within the community, right? That's my movement, unity within the community. I don't know if you saw my post recently, the whole, the only difference between a Dominican, Puerto Rican, Haitian, Jamaican, African American is a boat stop. And we're talking about slavery. We're all from Africa. That's how we got there. That's why the Puerto Ricans have big lips, brown skin, curly hair. Dominicans the same, Jamaicans. Your husband, who's from Jamaica, is the same admixture as, say, a Puerto Rican, because his bloodline will be Arawak Taino Indian, African from West Africa, and then British slave master blood within that genetics. He's dark-skinned, but that just states the fact that, level of genetics, and we know how genetics
The
works.
dark skin gene was stronger.
Yeah, the dark skin gene was stronger. That's what it means. But you could have children with him, and they could be all different shades.
Of
All right.
course.
So there's no difference within those islands. It's all the same thing. The whole thing for me is that whole Willie Lynch syndrome. That light skin that colorism that we have between ourselves, and I've seen it. And you're not the only person that that's come across and said, you're not as extreme as some of the brothers that have said, technically, and I'm going to say this to you, and I'll see if you laugh. Technically, now listen to what I'm saying. Technically, This nigga is not black, he's light-skinned. Nigga, black, light-skinned. All terms that associate with a person of the African diaspora, right? One being derogatory, one being on type of shade, and one being a incorrect terminology for race, okay? So it's like we're the only people that seem to differentiate between our own people based on shade. White people don't do this. You know, they don't, you're blonde, you're brunette, or you're tan, you're pasty, you got freckles. They don't do it. But they are obviously other people of color, you know, whether, you know, it's from East India and stuff, they do things like this also. But this is segregation. I understand, believe me, because you and I have talked about the female aspect of it, which we'll get into. But for me, I feel like it's segregation. You know, we're further segregating ourselves. Instead of being one community, segregating off, say, dark skin, light skin, do your thing, right? And to me, I feel that that's the problem, because I don't think that you should have looked at Kendrick Lamar and said, you a sellout. He's with a sister. Yeah, she's light skinned, you know, but he's with a sister. You know, that's the thing that I felt was just so prevalent in that issue. And the fact that, why is it not a problem for a dark-skinned woman like yourself to have a light-skinned brother like me, or a mixed light-skinned brother like me on your, you know, on your side, you know, in an intimate situation, but if it's the other way around, it's a problem.
Okay. A whole bunch of issues to address there. First of all, people have to understand that dark-skinned women have been deemed the ugliest women on the planet. So the situation in terms of why is it okay for dark-skinned women to be with a light-skinned black man versus the other way around, to me, that's a mute point. We shouldn't even be looking at that, because what we're dealing with is getting at the root of why is it that dark-skinned women are so discriminated against. Okay, if you look all over the world, whether it be in Africa, India, the Caribbean, it doesn't matter. Dark-skinned women are at the bottom of the beauty hierarchy. So, and looking at women in particular, men, there's a different standard there for a man. A man can be dark-skinned. In fact, Wallace Thurman summed it up great in his book, The Black and the Berry. He said the tragedy of her life was that she was too black. Her mother, the character's mother, Emma Lou, even said if she had been a boy, she could have gotten along better.
Right.
So the whole issue is the fact that dark-skinned women, it's more difficult for a dark-skinned woman to operate in the world, because for a woman, everything is about aesthetics, beauty.
I agree with you.
Beauty is her bargaining power. In my book, I talk about beauty bargaining power. Skin tone, and it's been proven by scholars over and over again, that skin tone for women, Dr. Margaret Hunter, one of the leading colorism theorists, she calls skin color, light skin color for a woman, social capital. That's money in the bank. Look at the videos. Look at I worked in corporate America. I was like lower level. I would go up to the corporate office. Who did I see there represented as black? Like a light-skinned black woman. I've seen this happen over and over again. It's real.
You know what you say there in terms of.
Just finish this point. My whole thing is we have to understand that the issue is that dark-skinned women are on the bottom. That's the problem, and that's the root of where my comments come from. It's not just about Kendrick Lamar. God, you gonna make me curse him because I'm starting to get mad even thinking about it. F him. It's bigger than him. He's just.
I understand it. We just obviously use that as an example.
That among many black men that have discriminated against dark-skinned women, it's way bigger than him. The Dark Skin is Beautiful campaign is not about Kendrick Lamar. It's about the idea of black people.
Don't you think though the campaign
women are the ugliest women on the planet?
Don't you think though, really on a bigger level, like black women are beautiful? You know, the whole spectrum should be put out there. Now, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. You know, my whole thing with the videos I've made videos based on, you know, how dark-skinned women are told their skin is too dark, their nose are too broad, their lips are too big, their hair is too nappy, etc., etc.
Right.
Or then, you know, Lil Wayne saying, oh, you'd be to a dark-skinned model, you'd be better if you were red, you know, things like that. You know, when we talk about light-skin privilege, I'm not blind to these things. We talk about light-skin privilege. I'm not, you know, there's white privilege, light-skin privilege, things that are acceptable. It's funny with myself, you know. when I go to work, my manager say when they talk to me about issues, it's always almost like Angel's the acceptable mixed black guy because he's not too dark. His hair's not too nappy.
Yeah.
We know about the acceptable
Yeah.
black person. You have a token black friend, et cetera, who's acceptable.
Right.
I understand that, and I'm in total agreement with you there. Believe me, I'm not even contradictory say, and I would be a clown to even try and retort that. I'm not going to do that. What I'm saying is though, the same way that we all have our own issues, because myself as a mixed black brother, I have my own prejudice that a dark skinned man will never have.
Right.
Light skin versus dark skin within the men's side, we've got that too. The whole thing with, especially coming from a Caribbean and Afro-Latino background, the Jamaicans, a bit too light for the Jamaicans, hair's a bit too curly for the Puerto Ricans, a bit too tanned, stuff like that. So of course on both sides. And so we have different kind of struggles, but it's all a black struggle. It's all a united struggle. When we talk about the people that are being killed by police, by white supremacy and stuff like that, we're not subdividing and saying, oh, it's only the dark-skinned brothers that are getting shot. It's only this or that. We're talking about black people. We're talking about people of color. When they talk about the list, the 400 people that are killed this year, the people of color, or even when they say black, look at some of the names. You'll see names like Jesus Huerta and things like that. His so-called Hispanic names or Spanish names. So they're in that spectrum, and we know that. Now, for me, I disagree for the fact that, that it has to be a segregation. I don't think it should be. I think it needs to be unity within our community. You're right. Yes, a dark skin is beautiful campaign. I respect your movement. I do, and I support it. But the thing when we talk about beauty, the standard of beauty, light-skinned people didn't set the standard of beauty. White supremacy set the standard of beauty, okay? And it's kind of like being told, well, you're beautiful, and because society says you're beautiful, so therefore you're to blame. You're the problem. Well, it's not my fault. You know what I mean? For women that are not curvy, that don't have ass, well, no, you're not.
But
you're not aesthetically pleasing.
People assume that I am blaming light-skinned women or light-skinned
I'm not.
people.
No, I know you're not. That's why I didn't say that.
It has nothing to do with that at all.
I know you're not. But what I'm saying is, shouldn't it be us? The point I was going to, shouldn't it be us that dictates the standard of beauty? Now, you know that there are light-skinned black women and mixed black women and brown-skinned black women that are absolutely beautiful and should, be glorified for their beauty, whether it be however they look. So we can't say, oh, it's only dark skin. But we should, decide what the standard of beauty is in terms of, yes, if there is a woman that's being represented as, black beauty, she could be light-skinned. But also equality for, the brown-skinned woman, the dark-skinned woman, the mixed black woman, the women of the African diaspora, because we've decided that these are beautiful, have, the things like that. Do you remember something like the colors of Benetton? Colors, all the different shades, all the different shades, but on a black level, all the different shades, because from pale, almost damn near white to almost obsidian, all the different colors. And this is the beauty, but we have to come to that. We have to come to that conclusion. And the same thing that we have to get away from that brainwashing from the media that has told us this is what is beautiful, okay? Now, for me, yes, I find black women of all shades beautiful. Yes, I have a preference for dark skin. Why is that? I can go into it, but we'll be here for a while. But the thing is that I understand, especially on a male aspect, a lot of men will present, the light skin or the red bone, or women that kind of like similar features to myself is very beautiful, that foreign black look or whatnot. Brothers like Kendrick Lamar, what they did is I don't want to say a platform, but what they did is they elevated darker skinned women in their videos, and represented and whatnot. But who he was with doesn't change that, because she is a black woman, and that's where I get to in terms of like he was still in love with his sister. For me, I was like, well, it's a black woman. You know what I'm saying? It's a black woman at the end of the day. And I find it hypocritical. And you're not the only person I've asked. I do conference calls sometimes, and I ask them, and women agree with you. You don't understand. When I've done these conference calls, they agree with you. They know who you are. A lot of dark-skinned women truly agree with you. And I've explained to them, and then I ask them the same question. Is it okay for you to date me? They're like, yeah. but the other way around. And they say the same thing that you say when they turn around and say, but it's just because the darker skinned black woman has it so much harder than a lighter
But
skinned
it's
black
true.
woman.
It's
And
facts. It's not based off of
no, I'm not saying
assumption.
no. You're
It's
right. You're
factual.
right. You're right.
And that's the part that people
It's
don't want to
about
deal
that
with.
unity part. When I talk about that unity, because
Right.
there are not light skinned women. You know, a lot of light skinned women are not going around saying, "I'll screw a dark skinned woman," or "Screw them," or "Screw that." You know, there may be some, but this is not the general consensus. The way we really need to be seeing ourselves as black. This is the beauty that we come in all shades. Some of us
Right.
come in more Eurocentric features. Some of us come in more Afrocentric features. Some of us are almost racially ambiguous, and some of us are very, Africanated and
But do
melanated.
you not understand that if you, again, going back to human history, going back to the fact that scholars have proven over and over that the mother of human history is a dark black woman somewhere over
Yeah,
in
of
East Lake
course,
Africa.
of
So
course.
as such, the dark black woman needs to
Lucy.
be held in the high, she needs to be the ideal of blackness. That's not the case.
But
And that is what I'm saying. And that does not,
I'm not
that does
disagreeing
not
with you there.
mean, that does not mean that I'm devaluing light-skinned women. Let me explain it another way. Anybody that's going to college, and this is what I respect about Europeans, because they hold up their culture to the highest standards, and they do it in such a way that they implement it into American culture right now.
Right.
So if anybody that's working on a bachelor's degree at least, you're going to take a course, Western Humanities. And in Western Humanities, they always go back to their classical culture. Okay, in every aspect, they make everybody take that course that wants a college degree, and it's done as a way to propagandize the fact that, hey, this is what America is built on: the Greeks, the Romans, etc. Black people are the only race of people that do. We got the reverse going. So what I'm saying is, black people, and this goes back to the whole comment about the Kendrick Lamar, has nothing to do with hating on a light-skinned person. That's not even what it's about. It's about black people need to respect the fact that the bottom line is that it's the dark-skinned woman that gave birth to you. So she should be the ideal.
You are right, because
understand that,
I don't know if you ever saw, when we talk about the birth of civilization being in Africa, and the oldest female bones you're talking about is Lucy, and is Xanthropus man, and et cetera, et cetera. But I wrote a status that has gone kind of viral. It's all over memes where it talks about mitochondrial DNA and the Eve gene, and the mother of civilization being a black woman, and through a black woman, every race can mutate from their genetics. The albino, the Middle Eastern, and of course we have to pay homage to, the originator of human civilization, being the dark-skinned black woman. I refer to it as the human, the manifestation of God in the human sense, in a material form. And
right.
So of course there are people that totally, and I get you on that level. I do get you on that level, but I don't then think that we should then say that the light-skinned female is lower than a dark-skinned female because the dark-skinned female is the originator of mankind. No, I know that's not what you're saying. I know that's not what you're saying. But I'm saying, no, I'm just saying, because what I'm saying is I know how some people might interpret that, so I just wanted to elaborate that.
It's okay. People misunderstand me all the time.
But this
even though I tell you straight up exactly what I'm saying.
We're trying to get it clear. But for me, like I said, of course, to recognize the beauty of a black woman of all shades. And I agree with you that dark-skinned women should be held in the equal self-esteem as every other black woman of all shades. Should we pay more homage? Yeah, we pay homage to the dark-skinned woman. Come on. My preference is dark-skinned women.
That the color of the mother of human history is the most hated and denigrated? Huh. What an iron.
We understand that. But obviously that's because of, but look, the things that we're talking about, this wouldn't happen if it wasn't for colonialism. We could be here forever. Right. Due to colonialism, the brown paper bag test, the race breeding, the stud farming, light skins versus dark skin, the Willie Lynch syndrome, the clans, et cetera, et cetera. Colonialism has, especially within the more Western community, the Caribbean especially, the Caribbean side, like what's going on between Dominican Republic and Haiti right now, the Puerto Ricans, the Jamaicans, Cubans, Brazilians, African Americans, these kind of things. Colonialism colonialism is that brainwash, and we know colonialism is crazy. And colonialism also is related to religion, you know, the brainwashing via religion. And this wouldn't have happened had it not been for slavery, because we were told that I am better than you. Okay,
You're right.
And that you are lesser than me, and because I'm light skinned, I'm more accepted. So you know what? You're okay. You're okay. But when you talked about the one drop thing and stuff like that, you know, Langston Hughes said, Negro blood sure is powerful, because one drop of black blood makes a colored man. Langston Hughes being a biracial man, you know, light skin, you know, some Eurocentric features. But when I read that statement, you know, he's a poet. When I read that, I was like, maybe we should reclaim the one drop rule. Because you know how they dropped the one drop rule was that they said, you know, you get a bottle of water, you put a cap full of black ink in there, shake it, it's tainted forever. So they, they got that premise based on race breeding, trying to, through the whitening camps, you know, after a certain amount of generations, they saw that those black features came back, whether it was with curly hair, darker skin, or black lips. So they said, no, what is it, 1/16? Is that what it is? 1/16 or something? 1/16 of black blood. Nah, you're black, because we know that it comes back. But based on what Langston Hughes said, it's telling you how powerful black blood is. That this is the power that it holds. That it takes so little to, you know, to create something that is hated by white supremacy. And this is why when people talk about the one drop rule, I think we have it confused, and I prefer Langston Hughes's, you know, description of it, because it just brings power to it, and it brings it back to the, you know, it's kind, you know, you look at a vampire, and, you know, the vampire, one little blood, and you create a vamp, you know, is create power in that, right? But you know, and it's that power. So of course, yes, we paying homage to the origination, you know, but for me as well, it's just like, I personally want unity, and to get unity, we have to it's a process that had us brainwashed, and it's re-education. You know, we're not the minority, and it's to get away that whole light skin versus dark skin kind of beef that there is right now. We've got no unity within our own community, and that's the problem. And this is why we allow this white standardized beauty within the media to direct us and dictate what we think is beautiful. Because we, you know what I'm trying to say? I'm lost for words in terms of what I'm saying. Yeah.
I understand. So I'm actually on the same page. That's what the Dark Skin is Beautiful campaign is about. It's essentially it's a human rights issue for me. It's about creating.
I just want to share something with you. And you know, one of my colleagues, you know, on Friday, you know, happens to be a white woman, and she was talking about Botox and stuff like that. And I'm older than I look. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
You know my age. We've already discussed it. You know, I'm older than I look. I know I look 21, 22, young ages like that. I'm a lot older than I look. You know, and I said to her, you don't need Botox. You don't need Botox. Cocoa butter, you good. Cocoa butter, shea butter, you good, right? And she said, no, you know, and I said, look, I look 10 years younger than I really am. And she said, no, but that's because, you know, you've got dark black skin. And I looked at her and I went, I was like, you know, my brightness is fully up right now, but this is my complexion. So, you know, I'm that golden color. And I was like, dark black skin. And not that I was disgusted. I was like, I'm clearly not dark. But I'm not dark within the black community. But she was like, you know what I mean? You're much darker than me. You know, and my father used to say, Angel, we're all dark skinned to white people. He used to say, you put your hand next to a white person, they're going to say, yeah, you're dark, right?
Really?
So I understand, exactly, and I understand what you're saying with the Dark Skin is Beautiful campaign. So for me, just to kind of like close that down, not close the argument, I'm saying close, you know, end this, I would say like, you know what? Yeah, dark skin is beautiful, but we can all represent for that Dark Skin is Beautiful campaign. Because when it comes to white supremacy, you and I are both dark, right? I'm a lighter shade of the black spectrum. You're a darker shade of the black spectrum. But we're all dark when it comes to somebody that's very, very white or very pale.
Right. And you know, there's a lot of I talk about my light-skinned best friend. It's funny because people say, oh, you hate light-skinned people, but my light-skinned best friend is probably your complexion. Yeah. She's came to all of my dark-skinned events. she's going out of town. She helps. I mean, it's ridiculous when people say that because I just laugh. Like, really?
And you know, because we've been talking for like we had so many thoughts that we were gonna do, and I said we'd probably edit this video to chop it up, but I don't even think we need to. I don't even think we need to, because I think it flowed really well. You know, there was other things that we would talk to, and I think people would like the fact that me and you are probably gonna do more videos to elaborate on some of the other stuff. I know you've got your dark skin.
Did you stop recording?
No, it's still recording. But you know, the dark skin is beautiful.
Are we still in our conversation?
We're still recording. You know, this is a blooper. Okay. All right, but
let me just tell you something real quick. Yeah. We might have to cut it short just because my daughter is up.
No. I was
probably gonna come in the room and be like, "Mommy."
I was gonna cut it as well, but so you know, I know you got the Dark Skin is Beautiful campaign. So you know, Rashida Strober has the Dark Skin is Beautiful campaign. So I know she's gonna put this on her YouTube. And you know, she'll put her links or whatever. I'm gonna set up another YouTube. My YouTube was terminated. I wonder why. You know, but you know, I set up another one. Yes.
Oh no! What happened?
Apparently, my praising is, you know, violent in terms of you know, service. But you know, and you know, just to, and obviously a little advertisement on my side is that you know, we talked about colonialism, Willie Lynch, you know, the slavery and stuff like that. And I have a project, I don't know if you're aware of it, called Slavery Unchained, which is basically about, I'm looking to do a documentary about slavery, the impacts of slavery, but slavery itself, it starts, you know, in Africa when they, you know, when the you know, HMS Jesus turned up, you know, the coast with the white guys coming off, what truly happened, interviewing, you know, tribe leaders, et cetera, because, you know, they have information that the books don't have.
Exactly.
You know, I've already got a huge team that's doing it, you know, and there's donations, there's a GoFundMe, you know, we're trying to build. And especially, and it goes down back to the Caribbean, which is the roots. Most people don't know the Caribbean is actually the testing ground for slavery. No, slaves didn't come from Africa to America. They went from Africa to the Caribbean and from Caribbean to America. And so a lot of us have that connection with the Caribbean. We just don't realize it. And, you know, things like that. And about, you know, the Willie Lynch syndrome, the race breeding, the light skin versus dark skin, and the effects of slavery today, which goes so perfectly and eloquently with what you talk about, which this is why I'm in agreement with what you're saying. Rashida's been really good talking to you. You know, we're definitely going to have to do another one of these. Hopefully one day we get to do it in person and not via Skype. So I hope that it hasn't been too choppy for anybody. And I respect this woman wholeheartedly, you know, I told her what I said.
You're not bashing black women. So that's what any black man that's not bashing black women, I could say, you know, because we got too many of those types of black men. And it's going to make it really hard for, I'm always thinking about the dark-skinned girls that's coming up because I taught in the public school system. Yeah. And I always think with them in mind. Like, I hope we don't have generations of other dark-skinned girls going through this and boys becoming men inflicting this type of pain. So it's like, it's a lot of work to be done. That's what people don't, it's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I encourage other people, get out there and work. If you don't like what somebody's doing, do your part.
Of course. And I just want to, you know, to end this with, you know, check out Rashida Strober's Facebook, Rashida Strober's YouTube. Check out www.gofundme.com/Slavery Unchained, and Slavery Unchained, like page on Facebook. I just want to say quickly, there's, a couple fake Slavery Unchained Twitters asking for money. I do not have a Slavery Unchained Twitter at all. There is no Slavery Unchained Twitter. There will never be a Slavery Unchained Twitter. My Instagram and my Twitter both have the same handle, Angel_IKYG. There's only one Facebook. You'll see the over 80,000 plus followers. And Rashida, I know you have a GoFundMe as well for your Dark Skin is Beautiful campaign. If you want to tell them what that is.
I also have my book that's going to be released soon, A Dark Skinned Woman's Revenge. That is actually a play, but I turned it into a book. So June subscribers, only people that subscribe in the month of June, I will be sending them a electronic copy of this groundbreaking book that's coming out. And I also, right now, I have the darkskinisbeautifulcampaign.com. The website is right now, as we speak, under construction. And I'm so happy because I just received a donation from a black man. He donated $500 so we could complete the project. The money got turned over into the hands of black people. So that's what I'm about. I'm about black economic development. This thing has many facets. So, yeah, that's all.
So, IKYG.